And we are back here once again with another episode of the Iron Man Podcast, episode 426. This is going to be the third appearance of Mr. John's Longbox, actually. And he finally did it. Heroic Tales, issue number 1 is out on Fund My Comic, actually. And it's crazy because the first two appearances we had, he was talking about doing his own thing. And we finally got there, actually. It's there, and we can finally start talking about, what has it been like to actually get to that point in general, and as well as talking about other things that have been going on in the real world as well. Even though, people on the more college front have been trying to essentially, tear down everything. Even though tearing down colleges might be the worst idea when you look into how a lot of them are funded and run in general,
You create the kid, you taught the kids to be activists, and they're activists.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
All right. Before we do any of that, I want to go over the campaign here.
Okay. I didn't know we were doing this already. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Guys, this is my comic. This is Heroic Tales number 1, the first of, I hope, many comics. This is a love letter to Blue Sky superheroic comic books. So a couple of guys were busting my chops because I want it to look like comics. I'm an oldie. I'm 56. I want this to look like comics from Marvel from the 80s. So to me, that's the best age of comics, the Jim Shooter years. Hey, Zach Chan. So I want to make he's a good guy. He's I'm getting excited. Forgive me, because I never made a first issue before. This is my first issue. So I wanted to do all of the superhero things. Now, the bad guys are bad. And I'm starting to get a little worried because I think something's going to be shocking in the comic. I'm like, once I saw the art, I'm like, do I have to tone this down? The answer is no. Shock away. So you'll know what I'm talking about. But so first issue features the Patriarch. Who is the Patriarch? Well, it's Jim Kelly. He's a loving husband, a devoted father, and I say the most popular superhero at the time. He's a dad. He's got 7 kids. He's married. He's a good guy. He's a good father, and he's making the world a better place. I got tired of all of this comic books and commercials and sitcoms where the dad is always the butt of the joke. Now, it's not like he goes home and he tells the wife what to do. They're very much a partnership. She just doesn't have powers. He's a superhero. So just think of it as she's like the wife of like an active duty soldier or fireman or something. He's always going off doing dangerous things. And his identity is public. So the family, not hiding, but they're hard to find because in a world of Dr. Octopuses and Green Goblins and crazy Jokers, and you have a public identity and 7 kids to protect. He homeschools, he homesteads, he raises, he has a farm, raises his own family, does everything. He pretty much lives off the grid, because again, there's supervillains. We all know how supervillains are crazy. And I just wanted to make an old school. I mean, look at this artwork. This is Renzo Rodriguez and Daniel De La Silva doing the coloring. Just look at that. I wanted to make it look like, as much as an old comic, I put a corner box. That was one of my things. It has to have a cornerback. And later on, when we form the team, I want to put all the faces in the corner box, like old Marvel did. This is a variant cover. You could only get this cover on Fund My Comic. This is by Pat Broderick, one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. Mm-hmm. He rose to fame doing Captain Marvel and Firestorm rather, and Captain Atom. And he did a series called the Lords of the Ultraverse that kind of got forgotten about, but I love that series. This is the back cover. I was commuting from work one day, and I was like, I'd like to have something on the back of the comic rather than an advertisement for the printer. Not that there's anything wrong with an advertisement for the printer, but this is my first comic book. I want the bells and whistles. So I was like, what the title of the story is Daddy's Home, and it's the Patriarch trying to get home after a day of superheroing and other things that keeping him from getting home. So when he finally gets home, Daddy's home, and this is what he goes home to. That's his wife down there in the pink hat. Mm-hmm. That his sons and daughters. They're just the Cleavers, the Brady Bunch. Mm-hmm. But that's also going to be if I could get to later issues, that'll also be problems because the oldest son doesn't want to live on the farm his whole life. He wants to go to college. You know, he wants to, you know, so I already wrote like a confrontation. Like the son's gonna be like, Dad, am I a prisoner here? Can I leave? You know what I mean? Because Dad wants, he's safe there. Isn't that what are you a father?
Me?
Yeah.
Black guy, father? What the heck? I think you know the answer to that already. We always leave before the kid's born. What the hell?
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's human nature to want to protect your kids. So he has to make a decision now. Like, do I let my son go into? So you know, that's going to be part of the drama. Hey, Dave, my buddy David Everson is watching.
Zach Chan, what's up, man? Hi, Dave. How you doing, man?
Dave, this is a good segue. This comic is inspired by my love of a role-playing game called Villains and Vigilantes. And I've been playing this game since the 80s. And I forget, do you play Dungeons & Dragons or any role-playing games?
No.
There's only so much more that you can take, right?
I know the concept of D&D, role-playing, going through different campaigns and stuff like that. I do know the general idea of it, though.
Right. But that's one of the stereotypes is you're 14 years old and all your friends like, we should make a comic book about this.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. Me and my buddies, we said this. And now here I am 40 years later, I'm making a comic book about this. So these are a lot of these are inspired by adventures that me and my buddies had, you know, and I didn't feel I had the right to use their characters. You know, they made up their characters. I made up the stories and piece. So the first issue doesn't have any of their characters. And then all my friends got mad at me. Why didn't you use my character? I'm proud of my character. I want him to be in your. So I later on, I'll add their characters into future stories. This, you know, so this, I just wanted to put, this was, when I sent Renzo the script, this is page 2. This is the first page he sent me though, because it's a splash page, the first appearance of the Patriarch. And oh my God, I got to tell you, I got emotional when I saw that. You know, I sent him a crummy. I since lost the original drawing of what I sent him of the Patriarch, and he oh my God, what I sent him, I put it on Twitter because I still have a scanned image from the email. So I put it on Twitter if anybody wants to look at my original drawing and then what Renzo did with it. So it's so cool, so cool. So this is the campaign.
Zach says, but modern audience want sympathetic villains and complicated, self-doubting, selfish heroes. Oh God.
Well, to answer your question in a very real, non-snarky way, the Patriarch is very self-doubting. Who isn't? You know, he
I think that's my favorite page right there.
You like that?
Right there? I like that one. Yeah.
He dresses as the cape guy, and you know, as a Superman archetype, because he's projecting his image of all powerful mightiness, but he's vastly weaker than I'd put him at like a Spider-Man level, you know what I mean? But he projects this aura because
it's not like okay.
You know what I mean? But he could fly, and I don't want to give away the power. Well, I guess I'll give away the powers because
imagine he has super strength and he can fly.
You can see he has the senses. You could see, you know, he has senses. No, he doesn't have super strength. And look, you see over here, he's repairing the car.
Yeah.
And then over here, he has telekinesis.
Oh, it's cool. Okay.
He has telekinesis, and he uses the telekinesis to mimic superpowers. He's a fit guy. He works out. You know, but he's not. He's probably as fit as like the best shaped 40-year-old man could possibly be, who works out all the time and eats right, you know, and you know, eats, you know, the best food and everything like that. So he doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have invulnerability. You know, he doesn't have laser vision, but that's but he also doesn't tell people what he could do. There's a few people who know what he could actually do, because if you know what he could do, you could get around his powers. And what if you notice in this page, he's facing a bank robber with a Tommy gun. And if you notice the Tommy gun, he drops the Tommy gun. There's no violence. He actually talks him out of it. And one of my friends, like, the dialogue is basically like, you know, put down the gun. You know, I'll use my laser heat vision, and because I used my laser heat vision to fuse the gun. So I don't know if I could save you when you pull the trigger, but you know, you're gonna lose a finger or two, and just drop the gun. And the guy drops the gun, and then this woman says to him, this is the reporter. This is the Lois Lane character. She goes, "You don't have laser vision, X-ray vision." He
Mhm.
goes, "I know that. You know that, but he didn't know that," and flies away. And
Okay.
what somebody who read it goes, his first line of dialogue, he's lying. I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't have, like, he's thinking that he's Superman. I'm like, he couldn't use telekinesis to block every bullet. A Tommy gun fires like 50 round. He lied to save people. If this devolved into fisticuffs, somebody would have gotten hit. He couldn't deflect every bullet.
Yeah.
He actually has to concentrate. You know what I mean? And that's gonna bite him in the butt later on in the comic when one of the villains finds out how his powers actually work. So he looks like Superman on purpose, but he's vastly different, vastly weaker. And that's actually like a friendly argument that I had with somebody. Like, they said that they're making a comic book and their character is super powerful and they could beat the Patriarch. And I said, they probably could. So the Patriarch's not that tough. He just, but a vastly super, like One Punch Man is one exception, that proves the rule.
Oh, yeah.
Like Superman, everybody in the world says that it's tough to identify with Superman. He's just so powerful, like everybody likes Batman over Superman.
Your character would probably be somewhere along the lines of like a Viltrumite level type.
Oh,
character.
not Viltrumite would destroy the Patriarch.
What? No way.
I'm saying the Patriarch is probably Spider-Man level.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So strong, but not like overcomable in most senses.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. I'll probably give it away too much, but he's not. He's powerful. He's telekinetic, and he's experienced at this point. If we, at this point, he's probably like a 20th level guy because he's been around for 20 years at this point. But so he's very creative with his powers. He's clever. He's very efficient with his powers. But you're going to see he needs to team up with other heroes at some point. So that might as well introduce this. So issue number 1 is the Patriarch. And then for a stretch goal, I had a 7-page backup story called Unheroic Tales, which is the origin of a villain. And he is not sympathetic at all. Matter of fact, if everybody makes that joke, he beats his enemies with bad dad jokes. If you
some true 80s cheese right
sympathize
there.
with the bad guy in this comic, then there's something wrong with
yeah. I always tell people, if you sympathize with Joker, you're probably something wrong with you. You're actually mentally insane.
So
D-Rail says he beats his enemies with bad dad jokes.
Yeah. So
love the art.
I was gonna have it as a stretch goal.
Yes.
But that Ron Mosicki, the artist, he's doing his own comic, and people hire. So I was like, this is my window. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get. So I was like, just do it. So it's colored and drawn already. The only thing we have to do, Renzo is doing the last 2 pages, and then he's doing a map, and then we just got to letter it. We're done. Yeah. So I'm hoping by the end of this campaign and start fulfilling. So this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be exclusive on Fund My Comic for like 3 months. And then when that shuts down, I'll print, send out the comics, and at the same time, I'm going to open it up on Kickstarter, and I'm going to have another variant cover that's exclusive only to Kickstarter. And that's going to go for like 2 months. And then when that shuts down, it's going to go to Indiegogo, where I have a third variant cover. So there's going to be 4 covers. And while the Indiegogo is active, I'm hoping to have the campaign for issue 2. That's the plan.
Okay.
You know what
You're
I mean?
Gonna have your wife ship out all those books.
Yeah. Well, she already told me that's on you. So I'll probably have to take, I'm in construction. We get what's called furlough, some time, time off. So I'll probably request for some furlough and do all the fulfilled. I mean, unless I have the good problem of it just sells like gangbusters, then I'll go with Critical Blast. But as of right now, it looks like I can take care of it.
Yeah.
I have
because I was going to bring up 30 pages. Floppy comic book, and the goal you had right there. So I remember you launched day 1. Your campaign and Von Coleman's did very, very well on day 1. And that goes to show you that if you build up your social media presence and connect with people, that will go far. Like, it will end up benefiting you if you ever do your own thing. It's not always a guarantee. That's how that works.
But guarantee.
Yeah. But just the way your campaign essentially funded in like a day, you're probably like, oh shit. A lot of people have said
it funded in an hour.
You're like the
Michael
Jewish
Bancroft
version of
hosted my launch party, and we funded while on Michael Bancroft. He gave me an hour, and it funded in the hour.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So like I said, I guess this is like telling how the sausage is made. This is already paid for. I paid for it out of my pocket. I paid for Renzo. I paid for all the. So, in a realistic sense, we're funding issue 2 right now.
Right.
Because I have a day job. You know what I mean?
Right.
I understand a lot of the comic book guys. This is their job, and they need to do this. But I've been, and I went really slow because I was taking my time. Renzo had other projects, but now I think we're going to pick up the pace. I would love to be able to do 2 to 3 issues a year.
Yes.
That's my goal. Oh, and so I was talking about the Patriarch. My original vision of the comic, I called it Tales rather than the Patriarch, because it was going to be a whole bunch of different superheroes, like the Marvel Universe. Issue 1 was going to be Patriarch, issue 2 is somebody else, issue 3 was, and then they were all going to form a team. But when I started talking about that, people were like, "But I like the Patriarch. When do we get back to the Patriarch?" And I'm like, you dance with the one that brought you. You know what I mean? The Patriarch is the one people like. I don't want to do a problem like your boy Zach. He did the Jawbreakers comic, and then he didn't go back to the Jawbreakers for years. You know what I mean? So you know what? You're absolutely right. Every issue is going to have the Patriarch, and then when you flip the comic over, it's going to have another character. So it's going to be 2 covers, a flip book, 2 complete stories. So every issue, I need to stress this, is a complete comic. You know, you're not going to buy my comic and then 6 months later get part 2, and then 6 months later part 3. It's going to be like a classic Marvel comic. Each one is self-contained. Each issue is friendly to a new person, and each issue builds on the other. So it will reward you for reading. Like there's in the pages that I already showed you, that there's Easter eggs. That will reveal themselves as, oh, okay, he's been talking about that since issue 1. And there's a thread that's going to be going through all the comics that nobody knows about, but my friend Jimmy. He's the one that I bounce all the ideas off. He's the only one who knows that there's something that's going to connect every story for at least the first 6 issues, like an arc. But you don't need every issue to enjoy. Each issue will be standalone. So, and if I need to tell a bigger story, I'll make a bigger comic. Unless I could get a regular schedule and make it faster, I don't feel it's fair to make like a 2-parter, make people wait a year.
They all tying together. Oh, what's up, Elon? How you doing, man?
Yeah, Elon's a good guy. Elon's got
a plunger guy, right?
Plunger that's going to be a launch.
Yeah, plunger guy. Yeah, Elon's a cool guy.
The plunger guy. That's your legacy, Elon. You are the plunger guy for now and forever.
Good Lord.
Oh, and I didn't even finish this. David Everson, which got me on this. He's one of the guys. When I moved out here, I was like, I guess I don't play V&V anymore. I don't have, and my friend Jimmy moved like 10 minutes away, and then I met Dave, and now we have a whole nother group, of superheroes. So we get to play, and we got to schedule another game.
Yeah, and when you're coming up with all this stuff, I remember you might have told me on your other appearances, what was the final trigger to make your own? Because I just talked to Lunchbox Warren about that. Like, what was the final trigger? Because there's a lot that comes in doing this. There's just a lot of money, time, investment.
I always wanted to make a comic, but as a kid, I always thought I was going to write for Marvel, write for DC, write for Image. You know what I mean? So I saw your boy Zach made a comic. For those of you who don't know, I'm talking about Diversity Comics, Richard C. Meyer, Comics Matter, whatever. He's got all of these aliases. He made a comic. He made a fortune. Now I don't think I could follow in his footsteps of making a fortune, but he got guys like John Malin, who was the artist for the X-Men. He got Chuck Dixon to work. I'm like, he could do it. I could do it. And then finally, RJ from the Fourth Age. He for whatever reason, he took a liking to me. I was just a guy in his chats listening to his live videos. And I told him, I said, I got 55,000 comics. He was like, really? And then I emailed him a picture of my comic book room. And then he just started talking to me. And then he pulled me on and we started talking. And now we do a co-host show. And then he made a comic. And I'm like, this is a regular guy who never did a comic. So I was actually watching him and talking to him while he was doing the steps. And I'm like, I could do this. The only thing that's stopping me is it's expensive and it's scary, So I got over my fear.
You live in New York City, and that's place is expensive as hell. Just saying in general, it's crazy. We live in both the most expensive states in the world. That is just
you're in LA, right?
California. Yeah. even I'm like 2 hours away from LA. Even here where I live is expensive, just in
Yeah.
general.
I actually out of college, I got a job in San Diego, couldn't afford to stay in San Diego, and then went to San Francisco, got a job teaching in San Francisco, and I'll never forget the people's face when I said I can't find an apartment that I could afford. So I went back. I had to swallow my pride, moved back in with my parents, got a job in New York. And even
That's
New York, I wouldn't have been able to afford if my parents didn't want to take me
Yeah,
back.
I was talking to Matt Barr last night, and he said I think the rent that he was gonna be paying for the small studio apartment he had, because he said like you just mentioned there's a long wait list for people just to get into a studio that you're
Right.
gonna be paying like $3,000 for rent, not utilities, 3,000 just for rent. Ridiculous,
Yeah.
actually, absolutely insane.
My wife and I moved to a tiny little 1 bedroom apartment in Flushing, and we stayed there for like 15 years. And then during COVID, it was like, let's get out of here. Like the city was getting weird. It was getting like oppressive. People,
Mhm.
I'm walking down the street with no mask on. People would like stop the car. You should put a mask on. I'm like, dude, I'm by myself. What you should mind your own business. And all the restaurants. I'm like, why am I paying so much rent to live in the city? And when all the restaurants are closed, cars weren't moving. So like, there was no parking spots ever available. So I was like, so we moved out to the island, and my mortgage is the exact same as my rent, but it's my house, and I have a basement, I have an upstairs, we have a guest room. You know what I mean? I got all my comic books out of storage. My comic book. Yes, oh my god, I don't know. But then everybody says like, within months of me buying this house, the housing market went berserk in New York. So I got in. I got in at just the right time.
What do you feel about that whole squatter thing going on? Because that's just ridiculous.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
I was joking, but not joking. We should find out where the politicians live and squat in their homes. And then watch how fast for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, New York, if you squat, if you go into somebody's house, it's your house, and they have to keep the power on. They have to keep it's ass backwards, as my mother used to say.
Ridiculous, yeah. And if you're there for 30 days, you're like considered an actual tenant in the house or something like that. Yeah.
So
ridiculous.
you know what a lot of these guys have been doing? You're squatting in my house, so I hire a construction company because it's still my property. I'm allowed to do work on the house, and they just start renovating the house. They take off all the doors, they remove all the windows. They start, and then
I like it. Yep.
and they now have agencies. Can you believe this? In New York, they actually have agencies where I'll hire you to go squat in my house. So you just move in the house with them and just become the annoying roommate.
How did it ever get this bad? Like, what the hell? Are people just so allergic to?
All I can imagine is the mayors and the congressmen and the assemblymen. They must, because these guys are all rich. I know for a fact Mayor de Blasio rented out his house while he lived in Gracie Mansion while he was the mayor. Nobody must have squatted in his house, or the police. He just said, "Get these people out." You know what I mean? Because I'm that kind of person. Like, we should just go squat and find out where every politician lives, every judge lives, and squat in their house.
Dude, have you noticed that you never hear squatting stories about people doing that in the hood? I say, you squat in a hood in LA, anywhere close where I live. I'm not even saying this should happen, but you will die. Go squat in a black person's house in the hood, you're dead. You're actually just straight up dead.
Well, look at this. Some guy was in the subway saying he was going to kill this woman, and an ex-Marine jumped up, threw the guy to the ground, and the guy was killed, and now that guy's going to jail.
I remember that story. I remember that. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely ass backwards. That story also in New York, that guy who had 7 prior arrests hit the sucker punched that woman, breaking her jaw or something.
And the judge lets them, they don't even go to jail, and people complain. And, I'm a construction guy, union guy at work. It's all them. And I just say, oh, wow, how's voting Democrat working for you?
They're just all silent. They're like,
yeah. And then you go to, and I just have to, because Democrats supposed to be the union guys. You walk around Manhattan, there's Chinese cranes up, there's Russian cranes up, there's illegal aliens, construction workers. I'm like, shouldn't, but there's no Republicans anywhere in New York City. This should all be union. And they're like, yeah, what can you do? I'm like, well, so why are we voting Democrat? The city's falling apart, squatters, you can't defend yourself. And I think union worker is losing ground in New York City. So what have you got to lose voting for Trump?
Right. So much bad stuff. Like that's why I can't. That's why I had to mute and not block. I had to mute some of those Twitter accounts that said all that bad stuff about New York because it just gets mentally draining hearing about this.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I understand it's not always happening, but it happens so much enough to the point where if you hear like 5 stories, you're just already meant. You're like, I have no faith in humanity. You're just done. You know.
Well, I believe that the average person is sick of all of this, but it's the active minority. Like the example I always is something like only 3 to 7% of the colonists wanted to, split from England, and look what happened. That's the problem. Is an active minority is vastly powerful than a lethargic majority. So I think that the average American, they're sick of all this nonsense. They're sick of all of these men pretending to be women and then beating up women in women's sports, and guys just putting on lipstick.
There's the other story in New York. Remember the lady, the mom died, and the daughter came back to get her mom's belongings, and the people that were squatting in her house killed her, chopped her up, put her in a body bag, bruh.
Yep.
Now those guys went to jail. Those guys went to jail.
Well, they had to. It gets to the point where they have to. But look at all these college kids light campus on fire and causing problems. They get arrested, they go to jail, and then they're just released. Like I always have to laugh. Overcrowding in prison. Well, that's your own problem. Don't commit a crime if you don't want to be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just one of those crazy things.
My wife and I, we're thinking about moving to Alaska just to get away from all of this nonsense.
Really?
By the time it gets bad, like as long as you got the internet, comic books can get mailed to me. I can send Renzo scripts. You know what I mean? I could fulfill from Alaska. That'll probably raise the shipping prices, but whatever. But whatever. It's getting nuttier and the patriarch has enough. He's homeschooling his kids. He's homesteading. Yeah, I like the fact says it's so bad now that a lot of union workers are for Trump. I read a statistic that 55% of union workers are pro-Trump. And and I tell you this, on my job, there's Trump everywhere. The porta potties are the message boards of. You go into any porta potty, it's all Trump graffiti, all pro-Trump graffiti. And I don't know about, but union hates Trump, but the rank and file guys love Trump. And I would just like, if I was a leader and I was talking to my constituency, and my constituency, 55 to 60% of them said, we like B. And I said, no, but we're supposed to like A. And they go, yeah, we know we're supposed to like A, but we like B. Now, would I yell at them and tell them that they're wrong? Or would a good leader go, we need to address this problem. Why are so many people interested in B when A is what we endorse? And then figure it out. And one of my coworkers goes, I like Trump's. I want to vote for Trump, but Trump doesn't like unions. And I said, well, there's a simple, pragmatic answer. Unions give money to the Republicans. Because right now, all unions give money to the Democrats. I said, if we just say, hey, listen, we're going to give money to the Republicans, all the Republicans would love unions. I don't think the average Republican has any philosophical problem with the unions. It's just that unions are automatically fundraising for the Democrats. Now, if you were Godzilla and these guys only rooted for King Kong, you wouldn't like those guys. If all of a sudden those guys switched to Godzilla, you'd be like, yeah, all right, that's what I mean?
Yeah, so kind of cool in my book.
and the guy at work just looked at me. I go, don't you? It's about money. They want to get rid of the union because all you do is give money to the Democrat, and we should adopt a "What have you done for me" policy. The Democrats don't care about the union workers. Otherwise, New York City would not have any non-union workers. I'm getting really political when I shouldn't have, but
that's fine.
Comment.
Yeah, just saying, like I couldn't live in New York. There's no way. It's too crazy. Like the horror videos I've seen, it's just too much. Like there was one recently of these two people were fighting. This guy got stabbed by this guy's girlfriend, and then he tried pulling out a gun. He actually shoots, misses. I don't know how that happens. They're in such close corridors, and then the guy ends up dying. And it's like, bro,
as a gun guy, I've never shot at anybody. I never want to shoot at anybody. But when that adrenaline's going and the nerves,
Mhm.
FBI statistics say that you miss like 55% of the shots, no matter what. You know, unless you're a military trained guy, the average
Yeah.
person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. California is also it's terrible here too. I just want to
Mhm.
show you guys this really quickly before we go back. Currently 1 subscriber away from hitting 900 subscribers on my main YouTube channel, actually. And John and the other John too, John De La Rose, and then it was John M. Sontag and a few other people. They inspired me to make my own comic book YouTube channel. Actually, I'll be uploading comic book reviews,
Oh,
news,
that's good.
manga
That's good to know.
news, all that stuff will be uploaded very, very soon. Actually, so people know that. I might make a third channel for something else, but I really always wanted to make one for comics and manga to review them.
Oh, cool.
Always wanted to. And I saw your channel doing it. And I was like, you know what? I have to make a separate channel just for comics because people that like comics only like comics. Kind of pushing that on the movie people is not going to really be the best idea.
Yeah.
And YouTube kind of prefers if you have different channels for different things. Actually,
I try to keep my channel just comics, but I do the odd board game every once in a while. I'm for the amount of board games I do, I wasn't going to start a board game channel. Yeah, I like what Zach says. Public sector unions like Congress vote for their own raises, but the private sector, yeah, I got no. What gets me mad is the teachers union pressures the Congress. They pressure the local. They get themselves raises, and then the taxpayer pays for it.
Oh, I didn't even know we had Professor Savage Dad in the chat. I was gonna ignore the white people. I met Professor Savage Dad in real life. It was fun.
Oh, cool.
Hail, love the sound of this book. Also, that pint glass looks awesome for Heroic Tales. So glad I got that tier. Oh, he actually backed your book, he said.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Here's the pint glass. You see, it's got the Patriarch's laurel wreath on it. And then on the other side, it says Heroic Tales. Because I was thinking, like, what would be a unique thing? He's a dad. He enjoys a beer. Now,
yeah, he does a lot. I met him in real life.
When the comic is fulfilled and people have their pint glasses, I'm going to make a video. Everybody join in. We'll get 30 people. We're all going to have a beer, drink out of a Heroic Tales pint glass.
He donated $1. Thank you, man. He says, can't wait to get my Heroic Tales book in pint glass.
Oh,
damn. He says, damn, John's boxes are long. Yeah, he's got the long ones.
Who said that? I want to thank him.
Professor Savage Dad. He follows you on Twitter, actually. Yeah.
Oh, Savage Dad. He was just, he was just, we were just conversing on Twitter.
I think he said he wants to have you on his Dadcast show because.
Oh, absolutely. You know what's funny? Because I'm trying to think outside the box, ways to get promotion. So I actually went to conservative news sites and told them about the comic. You know what I mean? I know Ben Shapiro is a comic book fan, so I sent to him an email. Let's see if anybody responds. And I'm looking up if there's any like father groups like pro father like society.
Well, I can't be a part of that. I'm black. We usually run away, as you know.
I hate when you
God, I can't pull him into that one. That one I can't pull him into. Everything else, he'll talk about unions, presidents.
I don't like identity politics. Unions you could join. You know what I mean? That's a voluntary thing. Identity politics. You know what's funny? Even as a kid, I'm my mother's Irish, my father's Italian. Even as a kid, I hated St. Patrick's Day. Because I was just like, look at all these people pretending to be Irish. Like, we're not Irish. Like, I'm watching Scooby-Doo. I'm eating pizza. I don't have a brogue. If you were to transport me in in Dublin, I would. They would call me back. They would have derogatory. So like, I'm an American kid. My grandfather's Irish. I have Irish heritage, but I'm a New Yorker who eats White Castle, who reads Batman comic books.
Who goes to the man? You guys have like the best pizza out there, from what I heard.
Oh, yeah. I was a part owner of a pizzeria. I'm a pizzeria snob, so yeah.
Gosh,
that's one of my. I joke, but it's the truth. If we make like $15,000 to $20,000 on my comic, I'm flying Renzo out here just so he could get good New York pizza.
You're actually insane. I heard the only other one that's about as good as you guys is Chicago's. Actually,
that's like a thing. Chicago pizza versus New York pizza. You know what? That's like saying, what do you like better, blondes or brunettes? Well, women are great. Women are pizza's delicious. Chicago style pizza is absolutely freaking delicious. It's different than New York style pizza, but they're both freaking delicious. And why do we have to pick one? And yes, once in a while, pineapple on pizza is not bad. Pineapple on pizza, it's not bad. I lived in New Mexico. Look at your face. I actually got Master Swag to stop talking for once. When I lived in New Mexico, we put green
Ugh.
chili on pizza, and I was like, "You guys are crazy." 7 years later, I'm like, "Can we get some green chili on this pizza?" Because that's the
Oh,
thing. Captain Bipto just canceled his
thank you, man.
comic.
Glad you showed up. Oh god, this man's going nuts. Good lord.
Thank you. What Geeks Do Network? First off, every time his name comes up, he's the one who made the musical intro for my channel. He
awesome.
said he got tired of that number countdown. So yeah, Pineapple.
I've seen him on Twitter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. Going over like a bunch of
Mac has a comment. We had plenty of work when Trump was in office. We actually had vacation time instead of furlough. I don't know who you are, Mac, but I'm assuming you're in my same field because I bring that up. I bring that up to people that we
tomatoes
had
on pizza. That sounds
people
disgusting.
are actually mad that they only had 2 weeks off instead of the 10 weeks furlough because a lot of guys,
Thank you. Good lord. I tried it. People's like,
oh wow, I'm looking at my campaign page go down. I'm only down
I tried
17.
pineapple on pizza and it's just disgusting. You people are weird. Actually,
I'm not one of these people that are gonna get mad or fight about it. Everybody has their own ideas what they find sexy, and everybody has their own ideas of what they find delicious, and sometimes those things overlap.
Professor says, only like 20K here. He says illegal immigrants have always been used to break unions.
Yes, and I bring this up in 1972. The Republicans forced the Philadelphia Act on the unions because the unions were keeping the minorities out. So
and maybe that wasn't a bad idea looking back now.
And now all the unions like, oh, we were marching with Martin Luther King. No, you didn't. And
Professor says construction in New York used to be too big, but now there's so many going there, they will drown the unions with their cheap labor.
Again, I'm getting a little too political than I wanted to, but yes, it's very cartoony and simple to say that the Democrats are for the working man and the Republicans are for the rich. My father was a Democrat, my mother was a Republican, so I always heard both sides of the arguments growing up. I'm pretty open-minded. When I first voted, I was a Green Party, registered Green Party. They always say if you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart, but if you're not a conservative when you're old, you have no brain. I remember one of my friends, John, who now owns a gun store, shows you his politics. I remember me and him like up late at night arguing. I was super liberal. I was a pot smoking hippie with my poncho out, hanging out in the hot springs over at Albuquerque, and then you know what? I started working, started paying taxes, started trying to find a place to live, started living in the real world. And I don't know what it was. I think the very first time I voted for president, I voted for Ralph Nader. The second time I voted for president, I voted for Bill Clinton. And then after that, it was just like, if you're going to control a work like a union wants to get the market on making ice cream. Okay, let's make it making comic books. So you want to make a union that makes comic books. What you have to do is control the comic book market, and that's what the union's supposed to do. Now, having other people coming in and making comic books only devalues my work.
True.
So, and you know what I mean? So whenever there's illegal aliens doing construction work in Manhattan, I never say illegal aliens. I never say undocumented. I say scabs, because that is a loaded emotional word that the union guys don't work. I'm like, look at these scab guys making comic books. They're devaluing our work, and I always say that. Why do we, do we like scabs? They're like, no, every guy, no. I'm like, well, why don't we like scabs? And that usually stops them. They go like,
I've always noticed with people on this other aisle, you turn their logic on its head and say it back to them, they have no response. They look like you just talking Spanish to them.
Right. So I ask them, like, where are you guys? Why don't we like scabs? I'm like, you hate scabs? You don't know why? And then they get mad at it. I go, I'll tell you why. Because would it be fair to say they devalue our labor? And they all go, yes. I go, well, don't illegal aliens do the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
And then that stops them. I go, so why is your party encouraging scab labor? And then Trump is bad. Trump is Putin's puppet. You know, and they go right to like it's almost like that 404 message. And
I blame the WNBA and the women's soccer team. Good lord, the WNBA. This has always been my argument for the WNBA, which is all those people that are boasting that they don't get paid enough money are the same people that don't watch any games, don't care about it at all, and they don't even know a name in the scene.
Well, you know what? John Byrne is a millionaire making comic books. Why? I made a comic book. I should get the same money as John Byrne.
Yeah.
Right? Is you know what I mean? It's the logic is so stupid. And I like what Bill Burr, the comedian, said. He goes, "Ladies, that's not my fault. Go see the soccer. Go watch the women's basketball team. It's not my job."
This is the thing no one says, man. Women don't like seeing other women compete. They like when the men are competing. It's just numbers prove it. Women don't like seeing other women compete. The only woman that I think gets any realm of an audience that'll see her compete is like Serena Williams. And then she's even said, "I'm not as good as the best male tennis player."
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. Ladies, you know, if you agree with this, go support Megan Rapaport. Go tailgate. Go get the hot dog grills in the back of the stadiums. And you know. And the truth of the matter is the male soccer teams fund the female soccer teams, you know.
I wanted to ask you this because I know there was a guy.
Why'd you get your politics?
It's always fun. Yeah, I sometimes gotta make you unloose because you're always the comic guy. You're like, it's always about comics, and I agree because the thing that you brought up earlier on Twitter was the one guy with the jackal thumbnail picture. He brought up the fact he's not going to use the Comicsgate hashtag anymore because it's been devalued into like infighting and all that stuff we usually talk about when you come on, and it got a lot of traction on Twitter because it makes you think. I
responded to him too. I remember that. Yeah, I actually followed him because you know, I said it's what's the word that I used? It's disheartening. It's disheartening because I love comics. You know,
I do too. I love comics. Yeah.
The first time I came onto your channel, it was a late night on Saturday. I didn't have to wake up early. We stayed up all night talking about Batman fighting the Thing and Reed Richards. You know, it was fun. You know, it was fun, stupid nonsense. And the other day on Apprentice, you know, we talk about comics all the time. He just came up to me and goes, "I got one for you, John. Hulk versus the Flash." You know, and we had to go to work, but we thought about it for 40 minutes. Then a coffee break, we frantically talked about the Hulk fighting the Flash, and then, you know, went to work at different sides of them, came back at lunch. It was fun all day long. I'm thinking about Hulk fighting the Flash. You know, he's of the opinion the Flash would beat the Hulk. And I said, there's no way the Flash is going to hurt the Hulk. And all the Hulk has to do is sooner or later.
See, a lot of people confuse Barry as in terms of how strong he is. Like, people factor in, he's very fast, but Barry is not physically strong. So even if he's attacking you, he's just hitting you like an average person. He's not like
he's hitting you at an average person at super speeds. You know what I mean? Like, like a tornado could send a straw through a wall. You know what I mean?
Oh shit, that would kill you.
But it's the Hulk.
Oh shit! Like there's still debates, man.
Yes, but the Flash doesn't shoot laser beams, so the Flash would have to make contact with the fist, and then sooner or later, the Hulk is. All he has to do is make contact once, and then you throw the Flash into space. He can't run.
Yeah, because that's the thing is people are still debating on like who's faster, Superman or Flash. And I'll tell people this: I forget a story, but I know I consumed it. There's a story where Superman and Flash are racing each other.
Yeah.
In the midst of doing this, the Flash steps out of racing Superman, goes and does something completely different, and then comes back to finishing to race him. That's to show you how fast he is. He completely stopped himself from doing something to go to something else really fast to come back to racing Superman. How fast Superman's really fast.
I forget the original Flash Superman race. I think that was written by Jim Shooter when he was like 14 years old. And if you remember, it was a tie because Superman flew, but Flash was able to vibrate through the waves and whatever. So who cares? But John Byrne, I always give credit to him. But I think John Byrne said that the specialist is better. And I subscribe to that point of view. So Flash's specialty is speed. So if he's not faster than Superman, there's no point to Flash.
That's what I said too.
The greatest detective. So Batman's not the greatest fighter. You know, Shang-Chi would beat the crap out of Batman in a fight. You know,
like Lady Shiva would do it too. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Lady Shiva would definitely do it.
So, but Superman, his specialty is innate goodness. Like Superman, is like when Superman shows up, it's almost like he has like a holy aura, like Superman is hope and inspiration. And what Superman does is just the fact that he exists, all the other superheroes are like, we got to be good. You know what I mean? Not that they're afraid of Superman, more like they're afraid of letting Superman down. Like that's to me is the whole point of Kingdom Come. As much as Mark Waid is a jerk face, Kingdom Come is excellent because Superman stepped out of the picture, and then all the other superheroes became jerks.
I would say his interpretation of Superman in Kingdom Come, like even though he's absolutely just a complete moron in every single level, his Superman when he lost Lois Lane didn't start becoming evil and start killing people. He just kind of just retired. Whereas in Injustice, when Lois Lane died, that Superman just went ballistically insane.
Superman's greatest superpower is he instinctively knows what's the good thing to do. Maybe not the right thing to do, but what's the good thing to do.
Yeah.
Superman, he's for many reasons, for meta reasons, he's the first superhero. He's the inspiration for all the in real life. You know what I mean? All other superheroes, like it or not, owe something to Superman. And then I love that meta-ness of Superman that it translates to the comic books that he's the super. He's the dad. That's why the patriarch wears a cape as an homage to Superman. He's my first superhero, my first comic book, and it's definitely inspired by Superman. Like, I if I wrote Superman, I think it would have a lot of overlap with the patriarch, but I don't want the patriarch to be super powerful like that. The patriarch is vastly weaker, and I want to
make women's sports would be more popular if they leaned into marketing attractiveness. See, that'd be very smart to do, but they're not doing that.
Watch ladies beach volleyball.
Good Lord. Woo. He'd have to catch him though, right? Yeah. That's the thing. Is so in that kind of a fight, you would have to somehow convince your own brain that the Hulk is fast enough to catch the Flash as if he's hitting him. Can he? Right. That's the thing. If he can catch him if he's fast enough, then that's
whenever we do these hypothetical Superman, Batman, I always picture it's like the Beyonder, just boom, you're in a gigantic arena and you fight. No prep time. Batman doesn't have access to, you just have what like Batman normally has on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Batman doesn't have access to satellite lasers and blah, blah, blah. So boom, you're in an arena, you got the Flash of the Superman, they can't leave the arena. That's the way I talk about the fight.
Like, so if you're using that premise, who do you think wins, Captain America or the Predator?
Ooh, Captain America, because first up, because I like Captain America better than the Predator. Second, the only thing I can imagine is the Predator detonates that bomb and there's no way to hide, so it's like mutually assured destruction. But Captain America, like it's almost like he's the he pulls victories out of nothing. Like he's like the god of victory or something like that. I don't know. I that to me, Captain America. Oh, well, we're talking about the specialty. Captain America's specialty is leadership. And
yes, yeah.
Somebody may be a better.
Batman talked about that in the Amalgam comic books when they fought each other. Was he really could sense that Steve was a leader.
Look at Matt Barr.
What's up, man? How you doing, man? Look at this.
It's like
Good Lord. Hey, Matt said he dated a black girl in the past. That means he's one of us, actually.
Well,
yeah, that's the thing. Is I'm pretty sure Barry's strong enough to vibrate.
Or black girls.
I'm pretty sure Barry could vibrate his hand through the Hulk's body. I mean, he's strong.
Yeah, but the Hulk never gets tired. Does Barry get tired?
He does. Barry does get tired. Actually.
Sooner or later, if you're in this hypothetical Beyonder arena, sooner or later Barry's going to get tired. The Hulk doesn't get tired.
Superman. Oh, wasn't Superman?
Oh, can I say one thing about
go
Matt
ahead.
Barr? Matt Barr has a page in my comic. He spoiled it, but I don't want to spoil it for everybody. It's awesome. Matt Barr knocked it out of the park. We hashed idea back and forth, and then I was just like, see what you want to do. See what you want to do. And oh my God,
Well, you hired a white guy to write in your comic book? Crazy.
I hired a Mexican. I hired I think an Italian. I hired.
See, that's the problem with comic books, where like if you have definitive fights like that, and then like somewhere in the comic it's like he's holding back, then it's like even with anime, I hate that. Don't you hate like in an anime and comics where like they have a fight and then like after it's over, they'll be like, I was holding back. What's the fucking point of the fight then? Like, what the hell? I've always hated that. Like, for me, the way I rationalize with Superman and the Flash is if a character is doing something and he has to completely do something completely separate as he's racing this guy, I think it's pretty clear who's faster, honestly. Because you have to be how fast. So now does he have to be fast enough to race Superman? He has to be fast enough to do the other thing. You know how fast he's running at that point? Right. Incredibly fast.
See, this is the kind of to be honest, I have no skin in the race. Flash vs Superman is fun to hypothetical, but let's put it this way: you write the comic, you have the Flash win. I write the comic, I have the Hulk win, and they're both valid.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And then Matt Barr writes the comic, and he has
Comicsgate
whatever
wins,
a completely different way of the Hulk winning. That's the fun stuff. Like the only scenario, like in that scenario,
Garfield, how you doing, man? I love Batman,
but I think people.
That's true.
I think,
yeah.
My favorite incarnation of Batman is the early Alan Grant, Chuck Dixon in the 80s, where he was just a guy in a batsuit who solved crimes. Like he got sometimes he got jumped. Like you'd see Batman, there'd be like a gang of thugs. Yeah. Batman would like swoop in and rescue the person. And he's like, I'm not fighting all 30 of these people. It made it like realistic and scary. Now Batman just wades into like an army of robots and takes them all out.
Yeah.
And then I'm supposed to believe he doesn't have superpowers. I like a human Batman. And issue 3 will have my Batman character, and it's going to be a horror comic. Is the only way to describe it. I have a script for a Batman movie because I still don't think there's been a good Batman movie yet. There's been movies called Batman, but Batman has not been in a movie. If you're wearing armor and absorbing bullets,
I thought you liked Mask of the Phantasm. Did you not like that one?
Oh yes, Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie. Yes, I forgot.
That movie's so
That's
good.
Animated. I'm talking about a live action.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a script, and then I'm never going to write it. So I'm turning it into a issue 3 of Heroic Tales. The Batman character. It's going to be a horror comic.
Captain America would win. Man, Matt, good luck on your drawing battle. Yeah, good luck, man. Yes.
I like what Zach Tan says. Yeah, that's one of the scenarios. Now, the Hulk can hold his breath forever, but at the same time, the Invisible Woman, what she did, I thought this was so clever. She put a skin-tight force field around the Hulk and then expanded it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hulk, it was invisible. The Hulk didn't know there was a force field, so he didn't inhale and prepare. And then he expanded so the air was weak and he passed out. So she
How smart is the Hulk in battle outside of like using his strength? Like, is he like super adept at what's going on? I don't think he is generally. From the stuff that I've consumed,
see, the Hulk
more like he's just a rage monster, essentially.
Sometimes he's stupid, sometimes he's smart,
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like you have some iterations of the character where they just do completely dumb things. My friend, we're talking about Invincible. He was like, well, if he can tank a supernova, then how come he can get knocked out by a crowbar? And it's like, do you know how like idiotic that is? I hate people that do that sometimes. They'll be like, well, this character got knocked out by a rock, but he can do superpower stuff. It's like, this is comic books. This is already stupid in general. From the concept alone, it's not smart, Well,
I look at like what what's his name? Houdini that was one of his things. You could punch him and it wouldn't bother him, but then the guy walked up to him and punched him when he wasn't ready and it killed him.
Yeah. Things just don't make sense sometimes, Yeah.
It's in my villains and vigilantes game, like if you're invulnerable,
John.
you actually have to like draw power to power up your invulnerability. You know what I mean? So if you're walking down the street like the Patriarch, I'm giving away too much, but if he's not aware, with this telekinesis, you could kill him with a gun. You
like Fear Factor Rain, man. Like Superman is really powerful. As of like he generally does hold back. Like Fear Factor Rain, he could like probably kill you with just his fingernail if he took it off. Honestly,
there was a meme a couple of days ago of Superman facing off against all of Marvel's heroes, who would win, and I would say Superman would win unless the Silver Surfer was there.
How would he fight Scarlet Witch though? If Scarlet Witch put him in an alternate reality and just sealed him away, like wouldn't that?
You can't do that.
Yeah,
these people don't understand the Scarlet Witch's power. She gives you good luck or bad luck. That's it. That's it. She's not this beyonder type being that people don't understand her powers. Mm-hmm. The people who write that they see the movies and that Scarlet Witch, she manipulates probabilities so that like the improbable happens, not the impossible happens.
Yeah,
and Scarlet Witch is so difficult to write. Matter of fact, I will when the super team forms, there will be like somebody with this bad luck powers. You know,
Yeah, and then that poses the question too: is like, is Scarlet Witch's powers magic? Like, I don't know, honestly. That's the problem.
And now they're saying that she's a witch because all of these girls who write her are all pretended to be. They listen to a Fleetwood Mac song and they think they're witches. No,
Like, oh, because I want to talk to you about this, and this goes to show you how dumb people are on Twitter when it comes to like comic conversations. So you know, recently that they basically are gonna put the Silver Surfer. It's a Silver Surfer. They're gonna use the female version from the all new, all different Marvel. And then you had a bunch of people that went, "Well, it happened in the comic books." All right, so for anyone that doesn't understand this, when someone says it's in the comic books, that person is borderline showing you they are a tourist. Lots of things happen in comic books. There was a Batman run where Batman fed Robin rats. Okay, that happened in the comic books too. Do you want that to be in a movie? Obviously not. Second of all, people don't even know who wrote that character. We don't even know if it sold very well. We don't even know who actually even did the artwork.
It was a 4-issue arc set in an alternate reality
that didn't sell.
So I don't know if it sold or not, but the thing is, when you peer through the multiverse, the way Marvel does it, there is a universe where Shalla-Bal is the Silver Surfer. But when you say Silver Surfer,
everyone thinks Norrin Rad.
I'm sure there's, through the course of 70 years of Batman, there's a Batman who dresses like Dick Tracy and has a bat that flies around on a leash someplace. Now, when I make a Batman movie, am I, it's in the comic books? Nope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to use, maybe it's a what if, Max says. I forget exactly what it was. So I think she existed 4 issues in a story.
Well, if you check the timeline, it's around 2012 where they tried to basically shift out all their male heroes for the female ones. Because my issue is like, why are people batting for this? First of all, I'm just guessing here, but I think I'm right. 98% of people had to look her character up because they literally didn't know who the hell that was. That already tells you you're starting off on the wrong foot. I didn't argue up to I know who she was. I always thought there was just a male.
And then they all say the same thing to you after you're like, oh man, Norrin Rad is a male and blah, blah, blah. Well, why does it matter? Then why do you care if it's a female if it doesn't matter?
Yeah, because if it doesn't matter, then why switch it then? Just keep it the way it is. Yeah, like they're arguing.
When they change a character to black or white or Chinese, well, what does it matter? Well,
they don't even know who wrote the story. That story could have been written by Brian Michael Bendis for all we know.
Patient zero of the destruction of comics, if you ask me.
Yeah, like that shit could have been written by Max Visaggio, but it happened in the comic books. It's like, dude, that doesn't mean anything. You can tell people are just like such tourists. That's fine. If you're a casual, that's fine. I think mediums need casuals, but to argue
if
that
you're
you
a beginner,
that's fine. We're all beginners at one point, but I feel like to change a character like that or have a different version, it's like when you think of Fantastic Four, like you said, everyone thinks of Norrin. That's it. There's no other version that matters. They even had a freaking people say he's not popular. They had a movie based around him. It was terrible.
The version of the Fantastic Four, it's in the comic book where Reed Richards is a Hulk-like character.
Right. Yeah.
So when they make the movie, Reed Richards is the Brute. It's in the comic books, Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of shit in comic books you guys don't want to see that you haven't even heard of, actually.
I will also say this, that there are other dimensions, but there's not the conventional multiverse of my comics. There's only one Master Swag. There's only one John's Longbox. There's only one Patriarch.
Can I be white in your book?
Dimensions have different rules of physics. I don't want to get into the whole thing, but I've talked about it a few times. So if you go to the next dimension over, the rules of physics are slightly different. So, this happened and this, that. What are the odds that your parents did the whoopee on that particular day to produce the Patriarch? You know what I mean? So if you go to the next dimension over, there's probably not even George Washington. Well, there's definitely not George Washington. You know what I mean? So there's only one version of each. Dead is dead. There's no multiverse to bail you out. And time travel is super strict rules. I have a time travel story in the works that,
Oh, it's just I wanted to show people because as I told you before, I don't have a comic shop around me. There is free comic book day coming up on May 4th. I managed to get some stuff that I always wanted. I was gonna buy off Amazon, but I wanted to support the local comic book stores. Actually, I managed to get this. This is one of my favorite artworks for Wolverine. Actually,
I love the story. By Frank Sinatra. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. Man, I love this fucking book. Actually, I read I'll tell you, I had to consume comics a different way. I know what the story is, but I love this artwork. This is one of my favorite artworks for Wolverine.
That was free.
No, I paid.
When you said free $25, and held that up.
Oh
I
no, no,
just
no! I went to Cosmic Comics with the FNT Geeks and Gamers meetup, and we went to Cosmic Comics, and oh my god, just I was like a kid in the candy store, seeing all those omnibuses, epic collections. Man, going to comic stores, people, if you have comic stores around you, go to them, support them, because it's so fun to go through back issues and hardcovers and all that stuff. Man, it's crazy how people go, "I don't go to my comic shop." I would kill to have a comic shop in my
it's funny
area.
because when I moved out here, I was like, oh, I was like, all we need is a comic book store within walking distance, and it's perfect.
Oh my god, thank
My
you,
wife
Garfield.
gets on the phone. She goes, "There's
Mhm.
a comic book store within walking distance." I was like, "Really?"
Oh,
And then Dave Everson knows there's a game store.
yeah.
So we could go play Warhammer. We could go to the comic book store.
Mhm.
And then there's a back issue store that's not too far away. They have like Fantastic Four #1, Amazing Fantasy 15.
Mhm.
They got everything at that comic book store. I can't go there because I'm like, take all my money, please.
Yeah, that's the problem. I spent like $105 because I had my list of comics that I was gonna buy because I buy some of the new stuff. That stuff came out to like $20. But when I started adding in like the hardcovers and everything, yeah, I got $100 for all that stuff, and I was fine with it because I wanted to support the store. I wanted to make sure it's around.
Yeah, good
Oh,
for you.
people forget for Fantastic Four, there's a comic store line. I forgot. I know a lot of stories where Aunt May is a herald of Galactus.
Right. What if Golden Granny?
You want that in your movies? No.
Yeah, so let's make the Galactus movie with Aunt May as Golden Granny. It's in the comic book.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Have you seen the comic where Martha Kent attends drag shows in Smallville with Oh shit.
When
my
I tell
God.
guys, what I'm a construction worker, these guys are like manly man guys, you know what I mean? But everyone of that generation, my generation or younger, when they were a kid, they read comic books. They weren't, into it as much as I was, but they
Yeah.
were into comics, So when I tell them what's going on, and one of the guys goes, "Not Wolverine. Wolverine's not gay." I'm like, "Wolverine's in a throuple with Cyclops and Jean Grey," and he's just like, you know, they have no clue. They discuss. I said, "This is why I want to make my own comics."
Yeah, I
If you
can see why people want to make their own stuff. It's like if you constantly see what they're doing, you want to make your own stuff. The problem is out of pocket. It's mostly just the expenses that really do it in. It's the expenses.
It's risky. I was telling Master Swag before we went live. I didn't recoup my money yet. I'm grateful.
OnlyFans.
Thank you, everybody. $3,000 for a guy like me, first time creator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand some people are trepidatious, and I totally respect that. But
Yeah.
guys, buy my comic. I want to make issue 2. I didn't recoup my money, and I don't want to sound like Mags Versaggio. Don't worry, I'm not making a profit. I have no illusion. Every dime for the comic is going to go into the next comic, and if I make it to like I could do, I'll make 2 comics a month, or you know what I mean. I have this mythological story that has nothing to do with Heroic Tales that I want to, I'd like to do that. I have a horror western that I want to do, but Heroic Tales is the flagship.
You guys don't even want to know what I have to go through with these new comics. If I could tell you what's been going on, we'd be here for like another 3 hours, just in general.
Do you still get do you still get new Marvels? And
I've had to trim stuff down. I'm only just getting stuff that I actually think is going to be slam dunk. I've been getting most of the new Ultimate line, which I have liked.
People have been loving that.
It's been pretty good, I'll say.
Yeah.
But then again, as you always said, when do they fuck it up? When? It's always about when they did do it.
When is the hammer going to drop? That's Jonathan Hickman doing up, and it's
Yes.
Mary Jane and Peter Parker are
It's
married.
selling very well. It's still in the top. People are still, dude. They're on their 5th printing right now for issue 1. 5th printing. The store's been selling out of it. It's crazy. You give fans what they want, they buy. Crazy concept.
I do think that they're turning a corner. I do think that things in comic books are going to change, but I heard this the other day, and a couple of people got mad, but they didn't disagree that comics are dying. Comics are dying.
Yeah, that's a sad reality.
You're one of the youngest people I know that are still into comics. My niece, I'm not even joking. I think I'm up to 55 nieces and nephews.
Holy
None of
shit.
them read comics. None of them read comics.
And if they do, even if they even do, it's like Dogman or something, which is like, do you consider that comics? I guess maybe.
Well, it's funny that they changed the when we say comics, when me and you and everybody in this chat says comics, we were always talking about the American direct market comic book stores. But now all of a sudden, Dogman is considered comics. Those were children's books up until 3 years ago, and gotta include children's books to perpetuate the lie that comics aren't dying. When I'm talking comics, I'm being very clear. I'm not including children's books. Not that I have anything against children's books. I think, one of my buddies, his daughter reads Dogman, and she draws comics. That is a gateway comic book. But children's books were always comics. Like, did anybody 20 years ago considered Clifford the Big Red Dog comics?
I never did. I always considered those like coloring books or on that kind of front.
There were children's books. There was children's literatures. You know what I mean? Like, Zach says, we gotta fudge. That was,
they do. Yeah.
That was, what's his name? Rich Johnson and Heidi McDonald lying. Even though we know they're lying, they were lying. We knew they were lying. We all knew they were lying. They knew that we knew that they knew that they were lying. But we still, we used it as not we, but they used it as arguments to shut us up.
Oh my god, dude, man! These people have been saying it's. I remember there was a quote I read like a week ago. Someone said it was I'm not even shitting you guys. It was raining money in the comic industry. I was like, where is this money going to? Raining where?
I'll settle for a trickle.
Remember how did you hear about that comic book like convention the shop owners had? It was like on Thinking Critical's channel. They talked about it where like they hired a few people to like kind of gouge the industry, like survey shops and all that stuff. If most of the money that's being made now, it's not even from comics really. They like Pokemon cards, Funko Pops, mangas. Garfield talked about. I checked the numbers. A One Piece omnibus sells more than what currently sells. A One Piece omnibus that came out in 2009 sells
Dan
more.
Didio said before he got the boot that he was kind of pissed that reprints were selling better than new issues.
Batman Year One sells better than any Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman title sells right now. Batman Year One sells more. That book came out in 2009. People
Batman stories ever.
I love that story. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So wait, Batman Year One came out in 2009, 2007, around that time period.
Batman Year One
was it 2009?
Was it like 19? I thought it was like 1989.
I don't remember honestly. Or like the graphic novel, I should say.
Because there was 4 issues in Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, so, sorry, I should clarify. The graphic novel, not the actual, when it first came out. The graphic novel sells better than the new stuff. That's ridiculous. That's actually ridiculous. Like, what has been going on?
Yeah, if you go into comic stores, and I don't blame it, like, people will go and get Batman Year One, Watchmen, the New Frontier, Dark Knight Returns, or Secret War, because they're getting a good story in one bound edition. It's easy, and it's cheaper than collecting the floppies. I don't blame them.
Yeah, you guys get what you're saying. Yeah. Here, I'll even bring it up. I think I have it still in my history. I can show people. I mean, to be fair, this is stores buying the books. Yeah. Thank you, Garfield. Thank you. ICV2. No. Yeah, let me go grab it right now.
Gonna quote that, they're gonna make a clip going, "I'm a floppy maniac."
Yeah, I buy old books too. I like old books myself. It's just like, how did it get so bad where people are literally going, you know what? We'll just buy all your older stuff and not your new stuff.
That's like, what
Marvel has the Epic Collection line. Those sell very well. Those sell like $40-$50 for anything old. They put the stories in order. Like, I know John De La Rose is a big fan of those. I'm not. I thought I don't like them. They're a lot of money. They're $40-$50 a piece, guys. But, they sell very well,
There's people who still have disposable income. There's people who still like the medium, and like your boy Zach says, we're living longer and longer lives, with a lot of extra money. Guys like
me,
56.
Yeah, I meant as far as like the graphic novels.
I got another 30 years of buying comics. I'm not done yet. And I'm only going to have less and less bills as I.
Do you know what they did to Graham Nolan's Nightfall story for Batman? They did an omnibus for it. I'm pretty sure you might even have it. They never did it. They never finished the omnibus continuation. It's only just been at like just volume 1. Yeah, it's only just been volume 1. You can collect it in trade paperback, but it's
they never when they came out. That's how old I am.
Good Lord, fucking hell, you're just old.
Speaking of which. Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon agreed to come on my channel sometime. So we're working out an actual date to have Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon live with me talking about comic books.
I tried to get Chuck Dixon on the show. I'm pretty sure he didn't think I was legit or something with doing this, actually, because I messaged him and he responded back and I said, hey, come on a one-on-one, we could talk comics. yeah, guess I gotta work for it. It's one of the guys I gotta work for to get there. Actually, lol.
I was gonna make a racial joke, but I will not.
Yeah, oh, Lord.
Because somebody will clip that out of context, and
keep in mind, people, this is just what shops buy from distributors. Like, what is the
interest? Yeah, these numbers are guesses. But what gets me mad is Marvel and DC do have the exact numbers, and if if your numbers are good, you're going to boast them. But if your numbers are bad, you're going to obfuscate them. So, and they're being obfuscated. So what
does that factor in? The stores have to kind of judge, like, what are their customers going to pay for, right? This is all just guesstimated numbers that they're buying. Like Ultimate Spider-Man, between issues 1 through 3, I think 4 hadn't dropped at this point in time. Look at all the top stuff selling. It's like, it's just mostly just a few stuff here. Like, yeah, I don't know who that. If the store's buying Miles Morales stuff, you need to stop doing that. That sounds like an absolute waste of money, honestly. Like Jackpot and Black Cat. Purchase that Jackpot and Black Cat. Why? Why is that a thing? It's just mostly Batman, Spider-Man.
Here's where people are going to get mad at me. I'm amazed people buying Star Wars comic books. Isn't Star Wars done? Isn't it over? Guys, Star Wars is over.
Star Wars comics basically exist in this like little pocket, not pocket dimension, like pocket of space between like the first 6 movies and anything in that. Actually, I feel like that's such a waste, honestly.
Like Anna, that Star Wars girl, she's gonna have to just change her name to like Anna the something girl, because who cares about Star Wars?
The only Star Wars comics that sell well is like Darth Vader stuff. Like, bruh. Like when you think of like Star Wars, do you think of like buying Star Wars comic books? Actually, it's like I just don't.
Even as a kid, I bought the first 6 or 7 issues of the original Star Wars comics when it came out, because I got them before I saw the movies. So I if I remember correctly, memory might be playing tricks on me, but I think Star Wars comic number 1 came out before the movie was even released, and I was like, oh, and then I saw the movie. And the comic was different. Darth Vader was green. The lightsaber colors were green. They put like a tan vest on. So I took out my magic markers and I color corrected. Can you believe this first printing of Star Wars? I color correct, and then I gave them all away because they didn't match up with the movies. And ever since then, I never got into IPs as comics. Like, to me, comic books were superheroes. If like TV and movies did sci-fi better than comics because there was action. You know what I mean? When you watch Star Wars, you believed it. But at the time there was no superheroes in TV and movie that was good. You got that original Hulk with the Bill Bixby. It was okay, but that wasn't my comic book Hulk. That was a guy in makeup. Now, it wasn't until like recently, like Iron Man, where they did superhero movies that were believable and cool.
Same here.
Comics. Yes, you and me, Mac.
Whenever I see someone's comic book video of something that I didn't know exists, I usually go to Amazon and just buy it because I just want to have it. So it's eventually to read it. Actually, I have a new one. There's a Black Label book. It was called Joker and Harley Quinn something that I'm gonna buy. Looked absolutely just amazing. Honestly, unfortunately for comics, I think the Star Wars comics are for some of the at least canon material for that franchise. Yeah, there are just franchises out there, like big ones like Star Trek, Star Wars, where like the comics are just the most obscure thing that people just don't care about that exist attached to the brand. A lot of brands have that. Like Transformers has this a lot. G.I. Joe's has this. Where
I heard that the new Transformer comics that are coming out by Robert Kirkman, people have been raving about them.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the trade. The trade drops next, I think this month. Actually, I'm gonna get the trade. I bought issue 1.
I think I was already done with high school when Transformers came out. So I never got into Transformers. I don't have any G.I. Joe comics. I don't have any Transformers comics. I'm actually thinking of starting G.I. Joe, like another expensive franchise I just don't need, but I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's the problem with comics. They're like, I don't know if my wallet can take it. You purchase anyway. I had that problem too much.
Like Conan, I only started collecting Conan like 2 years ago. I'm up to issue 12. I'm buying the original.
I never got into that series, actually. Is it actually pretty good? I've heard so much good things about it.
The first issue I hated, but by the 3rd issue, I'm like, I love it. This is so good. Like, it took a little bit of time for the art, Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith to get like the first issue was Barry Windsor Smith copying John Buscema and Jack Kirby, but by the 3rd issue it's Barry Windsor Smith's talent emerging. It's it's really good, really good. I could see why people loved it.
And what is the other thing to go over? There's just so much. There's too much comic book news in general. Like the industry is just. I understand why people would like go on with the whole like it's dying, because it's like, where's the audience that they tried to get with all this bullshit they're doing? Like they're doing all these like events and everything, and I don't know how you get people to be interested. But you know that they just relaunched the X-Men to some degree, right? They relaunched like
Is it out
X-Men and
already?
everything. I don't know yet, because I haven't been seeing much buzz about it. The only thing X-Men that I know is out is just the stuff that I consume. But other than that, like they're gonna be relaunching
I hate
X-Men.
to say it, but I just Gail Simone's writing it. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just had to get this because what Geek said, Savage Sword of Conan is. So here's Savage Sword of Conan #1. It's on my pile right over here to read. Because I'm a crazy person, I had to get the actual floppy and read it. I can't get collections. I have to get floppies. So there you go.
Yeah, for me,
the guy that I worked with sold me like 3/4 of all the sale of Savage Sword of Conan comics. So I have most of them already. I don't have like 25. So I'm picking up Savage Sword of Conan and reading them in order. Because I'm a lunatic.
Yeah. Gail Simone. I love how the industry thinks like she's some big name where they put her name in the front of books. She's the name you put in the table of contents in the book, not on the front of the book. Just saying.
I liked Gail Simone when she did Birds of Prey. The original Birds of Prey, and people always credit her with that. You forget that Chuck Dixon, I think, wrote the first 70 issues or so. Created Birds of Prey with what's his name, Jordan Gorfinkel, the editor, and then she took over, and then she did Secret Six, which I thought was interesting, and then she did a comic called I think it's what's the name of? She did a comic about superheroes that live in a retirement community. I actually like it. It's a good comic, but
that's not like a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like old like one of them is like an elderly Billy Batson who can't remember his magic word. So he's just walking around talking nonsense, trying to stumble upon the magic word. Why can't leaving Megalopolis or something like that? No. I'm somebody's going to correct me in the chat. I just can't remember the name of the comic. Just picked up Conan 23, its first appearance of Red Sun. So that means I got an expensive comic in my future.
Lord. Oh, wait, sorry. Even the sun shines on a dog's ass sometimes. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Gail Simone, when she was writing older comics, when she had an editor, she was fine. She wasn't. But if I say to people, what's your favorite Gail Simone story? People aren't gonna.
Isn't it like Bad Girl, I think?
What's your favorite Gail Simone story? Nobody has one. No.
Yeah. The only thing I remember her from was the whole Bad Girl thing where she I think she was the one that undid her being in the wheelchair, her being Oracle. I think that's all the story. That was the New 52. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember.
I also think Oracle's a better character than Batgirl. I know they would never do, but I love Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. I love that she became Oracle. Just she filled a niche. And if you notice, there's other Batgirls. There's 4 or 5 other people became Batgirl. Nobody became Oracle. So I don't know. I just
Transformers fan. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Transformers fan. Thank you. I hope I earn your support. I hope
I heard you're a huge fan of the Michael Bay Bayverse. Actually, I'm just kidding.
My wife loves the Transformer movies. My problem with the Transformer movies is I can't tell what's going on. You know what I mean? Like all of that. It's like it's like a lava lamp. All of this stuff going on, and I can't differentiate what's going on. So it was hard for me to get interested. I wanted to, I was like, maybe this will get me into the Transformers, and I'm, but those movies, it was just hard to watch, and they're
just not good. They're just really bad.
I didn't even get that point. Just the special effects made it murky.
Well, last few things I want to ask you before we head out is, do you have any other big plans for yourself coming up this year? Anything else you want to let the audience know about? Actually,
I'm running for president.
All right.
No, I'm just working. Oh, I thought you scared me. You got me. What am I doing? I'm working on my comic. I told Renzo I was gonna. He's finishing up like the last 3 pages of art for the main story of the Patriarch, and then I'm sending him the script for issue number 2. So we're going right into issue 2. Pretty much, there's going to be 3 active campaigns for each one with its own cover. So by the end of like 6 months, I want to start doing the crowdfunding campaign for issue number 2. I would like to get 2 issues out a year. I would like to maybe get that to, I think realistically we could probably do 3, and then that's really it. Like I talked with the owner of the Villains Vigilante, the game that is inspired my comic, and he suggested, maybe when you got a couple of issues under your hat, we'll make like a resource book for the role-playing game. So that would be, because I love the role-playing game. It's literally a part of my life. You know what I mean? Like I've been playing this game. Matter of fact, I'm playing tomorrow. My buddy Jimmy's coming over, playing tomorrow. Dave Evanson and I we're setting up another date because we're in the middle of an adventure. Welcome to Tranquility. That's the name of the comic.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. But so I would love to be able to say like I contributed to this game, and now that's got me itching to think, if my comic is a hit, there's a lot of stuff riding on if my comic is a hit. I'd like to open up my own like website that's like my store, Heroic Tales, because I have a message board called villagesvigilantesforum.com, but it's so old that it's like not being supported anymore, and it's just getting more and more expensive to put these little patches on it and fix it to, it's showing. So I'd like to take a lot of the posts and information from that and put it, make a Heroic Tales page where there's a message board and there's a storefront. You could, updates on the comic book, and then make my own role-playing game, Heroic Tales, the role-playing game. So these are all ideas that I would like to do, but in order to do that, I need support, and support's not it's not demanded. Support is not taken for granted. It's earned. So that's why I'm trying to campaign. I'm trying to earn your support, with the comic book that I love, and it's going to get better and better with every issue. I couldn't start issue number 1 with world building the comic and the grand universe and all this. Right. So I have to start, like at the beginning and roll that rock up the hill like Sisyphus, So there you go.
And
that's all my goals. I have big plans, but
yeah. But I'm glad you finally launched Heroic Tales. You've been talking about it for a long time. It's finally out. It funded in an hour. That's crazy to believe. Now you're only just 2,000 away out of pocket.
yeah. But it's going to be over the course of 3 platforms, it's going to be like a 6-month campaign. Yeah. So I'm first off, I made the comic as inexpensive as realistically possible. It's only $10 for 2 complete stories. I think comic books should be affordable. I think I wish I could make it cheaper, but let's be realistic. I don't even know how much. $5 is a regular comic.
Yeah, about $5.99, $6.99.
Okay. Oh, that much? I didn't even realize that much. Because back when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, it was double the price of a Marvel or DC. So this is super independent comic, so it's double the price of a Marvel, but it's not even double. It's, I didn't realize Marvel and DC was that expensive. Oh, so you know what I mean? A couple of guys were giving me crap for making it as inexpensive as it is. I'm like, but I believe in, look at that artwork. Obviously you can't judge my writing. Hey, Mutt, how you doing? You can't judge my writing it, you know what I mean? But you can look at that beautiful Renzo artwork. You can look at that beautiful,
this is Blood Hunt, which starts the first. This is the next big event with vampires invading the Marvel Universe and them fighting. Yeah, $5.99.
Okay,
40 pages.
Okay, well, this is a 30-page comic, $10, full complete story, labor of love by a guy who likes comics. I love comics. If the audience is there, I promise to make fun, interesting comics for as long as you guys support me. And And the more support I get, I got big dreams. Like I said, I would like
Yeah.
to. I'd like to make a role playing game. I'd like to make a resource book for villains vigilantes. I'd like to make more than one title. You know, I got like a couple of genres.
Mhm.
In the world of heroic tales, it's going to start in prehistory and go into the future. Like I got stories set all over the place. And here's a funny thing.
Mhm.
Santa Claus is real in heroic tales. If you could believe in superheroes, it's not a far stretch to believe in a mythological Santa being.
Oh yeah, and like I would say to people, because if you're watching this from John's side, if people don't know, I do this very often where I have on indie comic book creators, artists, writers, indie novelists. Actually, we have panel shows. We have obviously I told you guys before we have a YouTube channel. We are one subscriber away from hitting 900 subscribers. That's just Master Swag King with
You,
the
buddy.
yellow lion, thumbnail. I have a channel coming for comics and manga. Actually, I might make that third channel in the future for another one of my interests. But as you guys know, I love comics myself, and I can't wait to
Yeah,
read and
we
review them.
always geek out about comics when I'm on with you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is something I wanted to do for a lot of new people. I know there's a lot of casuals out there that have a hard time understanding where things start and how to get into it. I want to do a series
That's a
where I
good
help
idea.
people get into it, actually, just from the bare minimums, like
That is a
understanding.
really good. How to get into Green Lantern, how to get into Superman, how to get into Spider. That is a really good idea.
That would require a lot of money, but the first part I want to do it is the structure of getting into the characters. Like if you just like Batman, well, how do you even follow an arc for a character? It's very tough. I've been trying to brainstorm about it. It's God, I have
That is
stuff written out
really.
already, but it's just
If you
really
need any
hard.
help, that is a really good and I think an important idea.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of big channels out there, but a lot of channels don't focus on like how does a person get into this
Yeah,
actually.
that, you
Because
just blew my mind.
a
I
lot of people
really,
a lot
I
of people
think
have
that's
asked
a
me
great
like how
idea.
do I get in. Well, I wouldn't explain it to you guys right now because that'd be too long, but that's what I want to do on the comics and manga channel. Like some of my first initial content is trying to help people get into the medium as easy as possible. Not even just characters, just understanding where to start with the character. Like how do you go through like an arc with the character, whether it be trades, comics. It's so much, honestly. It's a lot. I wrote down a lot of ideas for it. It just blows my mind. I'm like, bro, this is like hard as hell to do, honestly. What came
Somebody asked
first?
about the link. If you look at my name, on the banner, it's Fund My Comic / Heroic Tales .1. So if you go to Fund My Comic and Heroic Tales or Bestest Way, you can put the link in again. You can click on it. And then somebody asked Zach 10, which came first, Santa Claus myth or the Santa Claus being? Both.
I think both.
I'm going to be purposely vague because I don't want to give any details because the Santa Claus story is so good, somebody's going to steal it.
Yeah, and I told people, hey, I love comics as a medium. I really do, and I can't wait to do videos talking about all the stuff that I know. It's just too much. I feel like my brain gets overloaded with all the stuff that I kind of start consuming, actually. And
I hope you do that. That is a really good idea.
it just takes a while to do.
Right. If you watch somebody criticized my channel as ghetto, I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to edit. I bought an $11 webcam. I still use my phone, but nobody does what I do, which is just take a comic book, show the comic book and talk about it. There's other channels that read the comics, and they do really well. These channels that just read a comic book, I guess, but I'll talk about like an old back issue. Like I just did this, the Death of Phoenix, a classic.
Oh, comic. That's the one where Cyclops is holding her. I think so. No,
that you're thinking of it different. But this is where Jean Grey dies.
Oh,
one of the best comics ever made, and we just talk about it. I talk about my feelings about it, whatever. And we did it live, and people will comment. It was so much fun, but I need to learn how to edit because like that 2-hour talk I had with Jim Shooter, if I could take like 10-minute snippets and put like Jim Shooter on this, Jim Shooter on that.
You have StreamYard?
Yeah.
On StreamYard, there is a function where you can clip stuff out, actually.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
It's right here.
I'm not a boomer. I just look like one. I'm actually.
Let's see. It should be. Yeah, if everyone doesn't know, today I was going to upload a video, but YouTube wasn't processing my video, so I have to upload it tomorrow. So on here with the podcast, you could go right here. No, sorry, where it says edit and purpose right here. Sorry, where it says edit and purpose, you can start clipping stuff out for shorts and videos right
Oh,
here.
thank you.
Yeah.
See, my whole philosophy has been ask, and the worst people could say is no. You know, in college, I asked the hot girl out. The worst she could say is no. She said yes.
Yeah, you could take sound bites from your episodes with Ethan and Eric and just put them out for people, and then leave a link to the main show that you did with them. Yeah.
What Geeks Do says hire me as a consultant. Maybe I'll hire you as a consultant. Well, how about we consult each other and the money balances out?
Black guys don't work together.
Well, I'm white, so there you go.
You're right. Oh, dang it. See?
Well, that just proves that you don't see colors. I hate when people say that. It's like, dude, you see colors. That's such a stupid thing to say. You objectively see colors.
Yeah, it's like that person that says like, in my opinion, it's like
I treat everybody the same. But saying I don't see colors, I get so mad. What are you blind?
Yeah, it's like that person where it's like
stop signs.
It's like that person that goes like, in my opinion, it's like, I know it's in your opinion. You're fucking telling me your
that's
opinion
funny.
is.
I hate when people say in my opinion. Duh, it's your opinion. In my opinion, like this comic book I'm going to talk about, in my opinion, of course it's your opinion. It's not Abraham Lincoln's opinion. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves. I got a bunch. Me and my sister goof on things that people say that drive us nuts.
The word objectively gets me sometimes too, because I think people mean literally too much, but objectively kind of is now the new literal.
Right.
Most people's vocabulary.
Literal. Nobody used it. I'm not literally driving you up a wall.
Yeah. Objectively, you could.
No, I'm not. I'm metaphorically driving you up a wall.
It blows my mind when people were like, objectively, subjectively, I like this. And it's like, that doesn't even make sense logically.
When people go, objectively, pineapple on pizza is delicious. No.
It's not. That is a subjective thing.
On pizza, but it's subjectively, Like one guy was telling me, like, Asian girls are objectively hotter than every other guy. I'm like, that's your opinion, dude. Just because you said the word and they also say, well, empirically, no, you're not using these words correctly.
Well, it was great having you on, man, for the
I'm done with you.
Well, it's great having you on, man, for the third time.
Thank you. I enjoy talking to you. You're one of the few guys that we actually geek out about superhero nonsense.
Yeah, so it's one of those posts that we had on Twitter, and he's like, man, this kind of feels like it's just a bunch of infighting, stuff like that. What I always say to that is you just have to kind of distance yourself from people that do that stuff. That's really all you can do.
I stopped watching some podcasts or YouTube channel, whatever the word is, of people that just talk drama. I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the Howard Stern show back then, and I don't like the new version of the Howard Stern show of bullying this guy and bullying that guy and talking about. The only drama I want to see is will Peter Parker get the medicine to Aunt May?
Yeah, and I told people, like, when I cover drama, that's like stuff that people are already doing, like drama that's in like the movie industry and all that. That's different from like what we're classifying as drama from like the infighting, because that's just those are people you have like somewhat parasocial connections with to bring on shows. That's a lot different than us covering like what Chris Hemsworth was talking about with Thor. It's like that's not. I would consider drama.
Yeah, that's a legitimate topic to discuss. But
that's like us just covering the news. It's different than covering the news and shitting on someone.
So my comic book comes out and you don't like it, and you make a video. I didn't like Heroic Tales #1, blah blah. That's fine too. But to make the next 6 months of you talking about how bad my comic is, dude, you got a problem. Like I said to somebody, there's a restaurant around the block from my house. I don't like it. Would you like to talk about how much I don't like this restaurant for 6 hours a day for the next 6 weeks? No, there's nothing wrong with saying that restaurant sucks. Don't go there. The food was raw and it's not right. The waitresses were rude. That's fine. That's not drama. You know what I mean? But drama is when, like, every time I say, hey, by the way, Master Swag, that restaurant still sucks. You know what that restaurant sucks? Restaurant sucks. Restaurant sucks. The restaurant. How many times are you going to hear that before you're like, dude,
that's what happens with like comic book industry drama too. It's like a lot of stuff just kind of drowns you out. It's just like once in a while I'll be in drama myself, but it's like once in a while.
I fall for it.
I actively try to make sure I'm not in that stuff. I actually try to make sure I don't comment on people's certain things. I try to do it, but people just draw you in because
sometimes that trigger finger attacks. And
I know
Yeah,
you're always talking back to Rich Johnson for the most part, actually, because he's just stupid. I'm
he,
sorry, he's
he
like an
gets
idiot.
he gets under my skin. He gets under my skin, and
Yeah, like oh, he objectively lies about the comic book industry, like literally lies
yeah,
blatantly, just cause. And it's like,
he
dude,
told me he told me that comics were doing fine because they're printing 5 million new copies of Asterix, and Dogman is selling well. I'm like, oh really? So because this was talking about Jim Hanley's
yeah.
universe going out of business. I'm like, so Jim Hanley was doing it wrong. He didn't order Dogman. And then
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
and then he says, and I said, and then you said that Jim Hanley's universe went out of business because rent went up. I said, did the pizzerias next door go out of business?
That's the thing.
I said, it's really weird how
Yeah.
like rent only affects comic book stores. So he showed me a pizzeria that was in business for 40 years that went out of business, but it was in Brooklyn. Jim Hanley's universe was in Staten Island. I said, you don't even know what you're talking about. These are different boroughs. This is complete, Staten Island has a completely different culture than Brooklyn. They're not near each other. You just heard New York.
They just all the cities are the same. Yeah.
And specifically looked for a business that closed due blamed rent and then used it as proof. And you didn't even realize it's not the same neighborhood, it's not the same town, it's not the same culture. It's not the same block. You know what I mean? He's just such a piece of crap.
God, like people that do that kind of thing are mostly like it's like they try to conflate one thing with like another thing to think it makes sense, and in reality
he
it
must
doesn't.
win. He's one of those guys, and I was that guy too. When you fight with somebody,
Yeah,
I have to win this argument. So you start like saying stuff you don't even believe just to win the argument. You know what I mean? Because if he really believed that a pizzeria closing miles away in Brooklyn is proof that rent caused Jim Hanley's. Because did Jim Hanley universe say that rent was too high?
yeah. Because by that logic, then if rent is too high, then every single business that's in New York must shut down right now.
Right. If rent is too high, how come it only selectively affects comic book stores?
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, but then that's the thing, man. They never go into why they shut down. They'll be like, "Well, the shop owner didn't buy the correct stuff." Why can't the comic book stores sell comic books? That's literally in their name. They never bring up why, because if you bring up why, you're a bigot.
When the retailers in 2016, when the retailers spoke up, they were called racist, and they all got scared.
That other comic guy I think in your city, the nerd looking guy, where he talked about it.
I think he's in Florida, but I think
you know about the older gentleman. He was on Mark Miller's show. I forgot his name, but he basically put the industry on fire. But then, as you guys noticed, they talked to him. They were like, "I'm pretty sure we are not going to send you any more books. You open your mouth again," because he didn't say anything after that. People have to know how weird that was. He said something, burned the internet up. And he didn't say anything afterwards.
I picture the guy's face, but I can't remember the name of the store. But he spoke up, and if you remember, the same usual loudmouths. What's his name?
Donnie Cates.
He actually said that guy looks like he smells like a racist or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But then Mark Millar invited him on his channel, and Mark Millar right now is the hottest comic book writer going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every artist. If you do a 4-issue miniseries with Mark Millar, you're a millionaire. You know what I mean? So Mark Millar pulled this guy on, and the guy talked, and then nobody could say anything to like Mark Millar. Like it was like the Pope came down and blessed him, and not only did they not talk about him anymore, like they just there's problems in the comic book industry. There's problems now. Now we're allowed to admit there's problems.
Yeah.
Jim Hanley's universe didn't sell older comics. I always thought that was a big mistake. Well, Jim Hanley's universe, if I remember correctly, they had different locations, and I think one of them, that one, only sold new stuff, and then they had like an online store that sold back issues, or they shipped off the back issues to other stores. So, but Jim Hanley was the first comic book retailer to become a millionaire, and he actually had seminars of how to run comic book stores. And when I was working in my buddy's comic book store in high school, we went to one of his seminars, and it sounds silly, but he showed you get a cash register, get this on the cash register, because a lot of comic book stores had cigar boxes full of money. You know what I mean? Like he showed us how to like balance books, how to take the sheets. We didn't know that. We were comic book nerds running a freaking comic book store. But Jim Hanley, this guy knew the business, and the fact that he closed is a bigger deal than Rich Johnston and all of these guys we're talking about. This was the guy who wrote the book on how to run a comic book store.
That's wild. I'm just over here saying, this man Michael has a comic shop 30 minutes away from him. I'm like, dude, go to that. He's like, oh, I work. We all work, Michael.
Oh, Comic Book Palace. It's in Boston. That's
You're
right.
right.
Now I'm
Yeah.
recognizing the accent. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't freaking care about your self-inserts. You know,
Yeah.
that Boston accent.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say before we head out, the last thing I ask you is
we always do that, huh? We always say goodbye.
Fuck, dude. The people that say these things. So this is what I'll kind of end off with. If the people that own the shops' opinions can't be heard and don't matter, what are we even doing here? The people that order the stuff, day-to-day operations, rent, electricity, water. If the shop owners' opinions don't matter, why are we doing any of this?
Well, didn't Mark Millar famously say that me and you, we're not the customers, the stores are the customers?
That's actually true.
And then when he Comic Book Palace guy opened up his mouth, they told him to shut up. You know, you're not the customers, the comic book stores are the customers. But don't listen to comic book stores either. Listen to Rich Johnson. You know, all the comic book stores are closing, but Dogman's selling, so therefore comics, you know, all right. So, you know, cars are doing well because Honda's selling. You know what I mean? It's a Japanese, but we're talking about the American auto industry.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll ask you, man, is there any shout outs you want to get to anyone in particular and anything else you want to say before we head out?
My buddy Tonic Ball has a comic out called On Call Heroes. That's on Kickstarter right now. Mm-hmm. My other buddy Fabrizio Aiello has he's going to be launching real soon with Horace H. Hoover, a comic that I there's only 2 issues that came out on the Alterna. He went on his own, and he's gonna you know, do like a refurbished issue with, I think, issue 3. I love his comic, Wolf of Batsy by Brian Bow. There's so many good things. And these guys all helped me make my comic. Renzo Rodriguez is my artist. He's phenomenal. His
Zach.
Comic, in my humble, what did he say? In my humble, this has literally been an objectively good story. Well done. Well done. That was a good one.
That was a good one. I like that one.
You know, I think I'm going to put that as a catch line over my stream. But RJ from the Fourth Age, he's got Crom the Destroyer that's still available. With my buddy Nick Axe is doing the artwork. Oh my God, you guys are gonna crap your pants when you see how good. If you like Savage Sword of Conan, you know, check out the art. Check out the art on this that's coming out. And Thomas Valiant shipping. I could go on forever and ever. So many people have been helpful. And it's about comic books, and I don't understand this. Vaughn Coleman, he's got a Phenomenova that just hit $10,000. Oh my God,
that's ridiculous. That's actually crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have Vaughn on next Thursday.
Okay, tell us it all.
Yeah, I had him on the first time. It was a great guy to talk to. Now he launched his book. Because sometimes when I have indie creators on, I like to let them, you know, launch the book to see because the experience of them before the book and after the book could be quite different. You know, it's just always how that works, actually.
First question you got to ask him is, I heard you're going to shave your head when you get to $15,000.
Good Lord. He told me he'd get Rini draws on my channel. But then again, that's like asking for my dad to be in my life. You know? Don't know if that's possible.
Rini is wonderful, and Fiendish is a great comic. It's legitimately one of the best. Rock and Roll Ninja, Fiendish, and Wraith of God were my 3 favorite of this independent comic sphere. You know? I just love comics.
And as I always say, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Iron Man podcast. If you are watching this from John's side, because he does stream this to his side whenever he has people on his channel, subscribe to me on YouTube. It's just the name that you guys see right there.
Yeah, put it in the description. Put all, you know, put the links to your stuff in the description. And guys, yeah, he's a good guy. We geek out. If you're on my side, he needs to get to 1,000, right?
Yeah, I'm actually close to reaching that milestone again. Yeah. You know,
you need to reach 1,000 so you can make like $12 a month.
Man, back in the day,
when I was for 3 years, I made $300 on YouTube. So
back in the day when I had a big channel, my paychecks were like $150 a month. I would just use it for like my cell phone bill and my internet bill, really, honestly. But to be fair, how much that does save you money in the long term if you get paid from just doing videos and you could just use that money on just whatever. Honestly, I was actually counting on that money because I would just use it for like my bills, but it would save me money that I was using in my paycheck that I wouldn't have to count for. you know.
I'm in 3 years of YouTube, I made like just over $300, and it went for art for my comics. That's what all it is.
Yeah, I told people, like, whenever I had got paid from YouTube, I was getting paid monthly when I had a big channel, almost 4,000 subs. It money was really nothing, honestly.
What happened? What happened to that channel?
Remember it got deleted?
Oh,
I told you. Yeah, because I talked about trans people.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, apparently they can criticize you, but you can't criticize them. Fucking
Right.
good lord.
But they're marginalized. And at that note, good night, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later. Have a great night, everybody.